don't know, a lot of people say, what's your ambitions and that, and I sort of really never had any. I think, all the places I've been to and all the way through the South Pacific and Indo and that, there's still nowhere that I can find, there's places that have got better waves and that, but when you look at it back in perspective of what you got here, where else can you live in an environment that's, 1 hour away from a main city that... ambitions of being world champion or anything like that. I think it was all a case of, I just wanted to be, I knew on the island I was sort of like, pretty much had it to myself for a lot of years and that. And see, back in the early 70s and that, there was a couple of Aboriginal guys, Neil Tippo, who got killed in an accident at Conneridal on that, but, there was guys in Dunwich that used to come out and hitch out on the weekend and come out and go surfing. We were the only guys around. We didn't see anyone, and there was periods of a whole Christmas time. If you saw another guy or another guy with a surfboard, you nearly had to run up and talk to him because it was just such a shock to the system. We'd leave our boards on the headland all week. We wouldn't even take them home because there was no need. There was no one there, no one around. So I think the main objective in the 70s was get a job, do your apprenticeship and come out of it that way. That was what was indelibly printed in your brain from the high school days or whatever, to get out there and be part of society. But I think the 70s was a classic example of sort of society going a little bit different directions, and so everyone did their own individual different things. But that's pre-leg rope days, so once you're muffed, you're swimming, and so. But in those days it was pretty good because I think a lot of the crew these days, they put too much emphasis on that on the leg ropes and that, where they haven't really done the hard yards, like chasing your boards 400, 20 times a day sort of thing. And when they rave on about the Nutrigrain Ironman, I think that's all sort of like a late starting thing. I think a lot of the guys that grew up in the 70s and that, they were, we just did it. It was just part and parcel of surfing. If you fell off, you swam, and sometimes you could swim for a half a kilometre, especially around Cylinder and places like that. You'd lose your board up at Cylinder and end up down at a rock chasing your board and that, so it was a case of, there's days there where I remember paddling out and not even catching a wave, but getting cleaned up by a big wave, getting the board ripped out of your arms and start swimming, and that had happened twice before you even stood up, so you were generally sort of like, it was a good way to learn, it sort of made you sort of like pick it up a lot faster in the sense that you learned not to fall off. It was a case of making it. probably out here, straight out in front of us here, about 300 metres, with Brucey Lawler and I were surfing back in '73, and I sort of watched Bruce get hit by a shark that sort of like took his leg. And I think ever since then I've had a healthy respect for sharks. It's one of those things that, how do you put it? I'm scared of sharks, but I don't let them sort of, I know if you sort of like, you think of them too much and sort of get plays in your brain and that a little bit too hard. I sort of adopt an attitude that I'm always looking. Every time I paddle out anywhere, I'm always looking, but it's still the same as, hopping in a car and driving down the road. It's one of those things, you don't know what the other person in the other car coming towards you is going to do. So I've been bumped, brushed, throwing water over by coming up close and doing, the last second they haven't decided not to bite me and turned really rapidly and throwing water over me, and I stood there in disbelief, waiting to see a heart, a leg missing or an arm sort of missing, and just disbelief, just still sitting there going, what made it stop? With all the sharks and everything and all the drama about whales getting caught in the Gold Coast and that, I'm still against shark nets. I think they're the biggest waste of taxpayers funded public money. It's just, how do you put it? My attitude is it's farcical. There's been another guy over here, Craig Frampton, he got hit by a shark too. It's at Deadman's and got 40 stitches. But even though Stradbroke's always been renowned as a very shark-oriented environment, it's something that I think, they've got to look at the environment and the bigger picture. Realistically, what does a mesh beach do except catch dolphins? How do you put silver? It equals anywhere in the world on its day. There's no question, and it's just a combination of, as I say about Main Beach, if the sand's in the right places, the wind's southerly wind, a good east-northeast ground swell, a cyclone sitting somewhere about New Caledonia. You got, if I was in Western Australia or in Bali and saw that on a weather map, I'd be starting to get a bit toey, starting to think about home, and sacrificing where I was to make a move. You get there. know, seeing chicks out there now, I think it's great, you know, because it gives instead of the chicks sitting on the beach in the early days, you know, back in the 70s and that, chicks are sitting on the beach and think they have to just sunbake themselves till they got too many skin cancers and all the rest of it, and they all sort of woke up. Whereas now it's the other way around, you know. I think the guys are starting to carry the chicks boards around. Honestly, to go out there, like I'm hitting 46 now, Des, and still go out there and to be able to still paddle into waves and do what I want to do, not probably as fast or quick as what I could have, but still feeling that you can surf at an elite level. I like going to the club contest over here and that, because I just think, you know, we lack the numbers in the water now are probably just competitive guys, and it's good to let the grommets actually give me a touch up every now and then. I get a buzz out of it too, you know, like touching up the grommets too. It's pretty embarrassing to be an 18-year-old getting beat by a 45-year-old. It's also embarrassing when Stacey beats me too. That's happened too a couple of times. Surfing is one of those one-on-one things, you know, you don't really need other people around, you know. Much rather surf waves by myself. I find that, you know, you're out there with nature and it's, you know, it's you against the ocean and it's all one-on-one. Beads need quality is he's just super fast, fluid and fast, you know. So I think actually Surfing Life magazine summed it up and said, you know, for his nature, the guy as a personality has got the most down to earth and he's so easy to talk to and he talks to everyone. He hasn't got a big head. He actually communicates with everyone. His backhand attack is just phenomenal. I've never seen a guy who gets so vertical, so fast, so many times on one wave. They call Beatty the white Fijian because he's from the island and just so laid back, they reckon. You know, he lives on the island, he's so laid back and nothing really phases him, you know. And what I've gathered on all the guys I've spoken to, he never gets faded. He gets really dirty when he gets knocked out of a heat and he seems, you know, but somehow he bottles that inside him, you know, and sort of like puts that to the energy of a do better next time, I think, which is great. There's no sport better than surfing, just full stop. No argument. I know a lot of people argue that one, but that's my opinion.
Maggie, you sound good.
Yeah.